Hello and welcome to Super Turbo 64, the podcast in which a group of two or more friends talk about the fine art of video games. I am Jason Vandervoort. I am joined by Jeff Ross.
Hello.
And we are also joined by our good friend and contributor, Travis Hilton. On the mic, everybody.
How's it going?
So Travis is a longtime buddy of ours. We've known each other for well over a decade.
Yep.
We hang out fairly regularly. We play music together on occasion and just had a lot of fun playing music and whatnot. And now he is the second guest on the podcast.
The second guest. That's pretty important.
It is, yeah.
Huge.
Some would say it's even more important than the first guest.
Huge.
Hopefully the only Donald Trump reference in the
Yeah.
entire
I don't
episode.
know. We'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see about that.
It's an honor for you to be here.
I am an honor for me to be. Wow. Okay.
Good start.
Yeah. Great start. Yeah. It's. I listen to you guys. Your stuff's just come out on Spotify, and it's fantastic.
Thank
so
you.
I'm
Thanks.
very, very excited. I'm very
Good.
like when I was listening, I was like, I wonder what I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how I'd act.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see.
Yeah, you'll find out very soon.
Absolutely.
I'm already like dreading what's gonna come out of my mouth.
Yeah.
I'm excitable.
Should be a good time.
Yeah. So,
Shut it.
as is going to be kind of the formula for guests here on out, we take this opportunity to give a good introduction to the guest by having them give us their top 5 games of all time and any honorable mentions that they also have readily available.
Well-
So, Travis, let's hear your top 5. I'm ready.
Yeah, wouldn't you know it? I have a list right here that I.
Keep with you at all times, I'm sure.
It's called my phone.
Yeah.
And in naming it, instead of saying Vidya games, I named it Vodka Games. So you can take that as it is. I don't drink though. Anyway, number 5, I have Microsoft Combat Flight Simulator 2.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's a
So
mouthful.
Microsoft Combat Flight Simulator Super Turbo. What was it?
64. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Well, this is the game that like opened my eyes to things other than Mario and PlayStation 1 and all that. Like, wow, you can fly these aircraft and all the buttons work and you can actually like screw something up and down you go.
Yeah.
But also you can take off from the base, fly for 4 hours, kill your target, fly back for 4 hours, and then fuck up the landing. And then completely ruin the mission. I was like, wow, I can't believe there are games like this. I can't wait to ruin my life.
It's a dark history after that.
Oh yeah, no, it was great. My cousins owned it. That was also the first time I played with a joystick.
Mm.
That
Ooh,
was-
that real authentic
Yeah,
feel.
it was sick. Going after aircraft that basically are the sheep of the aviation world, and is just taking them out one by one.
Oh, sure.
Like they're nothing, because they are nothing.
They are nothing.
Okay, number 4, and you guys, this will hit close to home. Smash Brothers 64.
Ooh,
yep.
64.
Nice. Yeah, that is a classic. Why 64 in particular?
Because you gotta go back to your first love, I
Sure.
guess.
Yeah.
You know, it was. I remember, and this is kind of dating myself to how old I am. I remember the commercial when,
Yeah.
you know,
With the suits.
with the
Absolutely.
suits.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
So happy together.
Yeah.
And then they start beating
Yep.
on each other. It's fantastic.
Still probably one of the best video game commercials ever.
Oh
in
yeah,
my
Totally.
opinion.
by
totally.
far. It was actually with a family member and his mother. We were out at Walmart or something, and my Jesse and I went off and did our thing, and Annette did theirs or hers. And I remember specifically after like rejoining, and this was for context. This was close to like Christmas time, and I lean over to Annette and say, "Did you get the game?" And she's like, "What? Did you get the game? What are you talking about?" As in, like, she got the game and she's trying to keep it a secret, and I just fucking blew her cover.
Smooth move.
Yeah, and like only after I said it, I was like, "Uh-oh." Oh no.
Yep.
So yeah, that was, but you know, as the years go on, you refine your skills on playing that game, and I'm not. I can't say that I'm as talented as you guys when it comes to fighting games, for sure.
It's just all those wasted hours of life, you know.
Wasted hours. If I told you how many times I stared at an ocean flying a goddamn jet.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Then maybe.
so you know it evens out. But playing that forever and ever and ever and getting really good at it, and then you know whatever.
Were you a Samus main back in the day too?
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Travis has been a Samus main since the very beginning.
Oh, yeah.
And it's been great because it's like, you know, pretty much the original cast has always been there throughout the entire time. So
Yep.
he's been able to, you know, play as Samus and see Samus develop as a character throughout all of the games.
And it's been wonderful. The main reason Samus for 64 in particular is the meteor smash that she does.
Yeah.
I can time it
Oh,
to where like, you know, I'll meteor like jump over the character or my target, meteor smash, it'll fly up in the air. I jump off and I smash them down. And by the time I get back down to where they are, I smash them again, and it just keeps on.
Satisfying.
Nice,
you know,
nice.
Very
it's-
satisfying.
And largely infuriating to whoever plays against me. They kind of nerfed that out in later variants, but you know, it is what it is.
The glory days of Samus.
Right.
Glory to Samus, can't go back. Number 3, I have as Halo.
Ooh.
None any in particular, but
Okay.
Just as a franchise.
as a franchise,
Sure. I'll allow it.
yeah. Well, I guess 1, and then
Okay.
what was the one that we were talking about yesterday? The other day, 4.
Well, there's 4 and there's
Yeah.
Reach. Yeah, 4.
Yeah,
Okay.
4, and then Reach was fantastic. Other than playing with my cousins for hours on end, the nights on Saturdays with your friends and countless cans of Mountain Dew and pizzas,
Game
playing Halo,
Yeah.
multiplayer, just weekends on weekends on weekends. There's that'll always be a fond gaming memory.
For sure.
Travis and I have had countless rocket battles.
That's what I'm gonna get to. That's what I'm talking about.
We just go on a medium-sized map. Like in Halo 3, it was the big sandy one most of the time, and then just only rocket launchers.
We'd crank up the jumping, wouldn't we?
Yeah,
We have.
yeah.
And then, you know, you have to... The skill is in, like, leading your shot
Right.
and able to... So your rocket connected with where you wanted it to, but then it didn't. And
Right.
the whole cat and mouse
Yeah.
thing was
Nice.
wonderful.
That was always one of the really fun things because they had that wealth of options to create tailor-made matches
Oh, yeah.
and whatnot.
And-
That was always something really cool.
And that's something that Jeff and I just played again and again and again. It never seemed to get old.
No. Let's you know what? Screw the podcast.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
go, yeah.
see you again. See you guys. Good
Play
to
some-
good talking to you.
Play some Halo, some rocket matches.
You guys aren't even gonna get 2. Whatever. Actually, I lied. Number 2 is Super Mario Brothers 3.
Ooh.
A gem. A beautiful gem.
Reason being, my first console was the regular Nintendo.
Yes.
It seems to be me that everyone in the Northwest has referred to that console as the regular Nintendo.
Okay, so it's not just my family. It's,
No,
Yeah.
I've always named it the regular Nintendo as well.
Yeah,
And then you have the Super, and then blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. When you call one the Super Nintendo,
Yeah. Like,
you're just like the natural assumption is just like, well, what is this then?
Yeah.
You don't want to call it the bad Nintendo.
Yeah.
It's like-
like if they like each Nintendo had caricatures, the like regular Nintendo would be like, oh,
Yeah. It's the Eeyore of the family.
yeah.
It's Mario 3. That's a great game. Tell me, have you ever did you find all the secrets? Did you finish the game, or did you like go back to it as you were older? Or...
I never went back to it when I was older. I wish
Okay.
I just didn't have the means.
Sure.
Right.
But when I was playing it, I was just enthralled. Well, mainly because of the music.
Yeah, it has
It's
great
so
tunes.
good.
The music is like toppest notch.
Every track a
in that
banger.
one. Oh yeah, like I had the water level thinking about this podcast. Like Super Mario's 3 water level. Do 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 blah 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 blah. That's how I think at work. By the way.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
I know the feel.
So,
That's a great game.
and then Tanuki suit.
Yeah. The stone statue and the
Yeah.
frog suit and like the little feet thing that you could jump into. The boots.
The
or
boots.
whatever.
Yeah.
The boots. Have a boots.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's my number 2. That'll always... And, like, I played that game more than I did any... Because I had the original Mario as well. For
Yeah,
Nintendo. And, you know, I had your Duck Hunt and I had your Zelda and Metal Gear and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But I always went back to Mario 3. It was
Sure.
probably the best out of all of the games I had.
Right on.
Besides one that I have on my honorable mentions. Good
Ooh.
segue. Oh,
Absolutely.
The guy's a natural.
anyway, sorry. So I have quite a few. I won't go into too much detail. Sky Kid. That was for regular Nintendo.
Oh, okay.
That was my first exposure to like an airplane game.
Sure.
Yeah.
It was like, they make these? Wow! And you had to save the penguin. It was great.
Yep.
Just Cause 2 and 3.
There you go. Nice.
You know, endless wizard
Yeah.
with the capacity to drive anything.
Right. So now, did you take passengers when you played?
I did not.
You did not. Interesting.
And, you know,
You know, one day they're gonna write books about those games.
you got me. I was trying to remember the lines.
I did too. Yeah.
And I got nothing. So, yeah, the next guy I have here, you guys are going to be like, what? Cubert.
Yeah.
Those are like with the orange ball guy with the weird nose. Yeah.
And you, like, hop on blocks,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
the game?
Yes.
Absolutely. You're a Cubert fan.
Oh, yeah.
Right on.
Like, Wreck-It Ralph. Cubert was in Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, hell yeah, my boy!
Yeah.
Big
I was
Cubert fan. That's
Big
a
Hubert, yeah.
that's
just like, no one knows about Cubert. And
yeah.
I just... Level after... I don't know why anyone would play that game.
You know, the arcade world,
Very different.
we've moved on, perhaps. We've
Yeah.
evolved past their primitive designs, but it's Cubert. He's one of the good ones, right?
Yeah.
I never played it until I was dang old grown up, but it's a fun game.
Yeah, and for, 7-year-old, 8-year-old Travis, it was
Yeah, bright
good
colors, funny noises.
Still very magical.
stuff. Funny, Cubert.
Yeah.
Next one is Forza 4, and by extension, Forza Horizons, and by extension after that is Gran Turismo. So, racing games.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Racing games,
Just
racing
the
games.
genre. Yeah.
Yeah. Forza 4 I played a ton of years ago when I had a 360. Horizons, hot on the heels of that. And then right now I'm playing a lot of Gran Turismo, which is fantastic. We can get into that later. Next is Minecraft.
Ooh.
Jason well knows that I will spend hours on hours on hours playing this game.
Yeah. For some context, so Travis and I, we used to be roommates for about a year or so.
Yeah.
And so, and this is when, Minecraft had first kind of migrated onto consoles. And, it was really big. Everybody was buying it, and so most people had Minecraft there.
It's a big deal.
Exactly. And so we had a TV set up in the big kind of living room common area at our place. And so we were playing Minecraft and whatnot. And I would distinctly remember, emerging from my from my hole in the basement. And I would come up to see Travis playing Minecraft, and he would be just digging.
Just focus.
Laser focus digging, because he'd be prepping the site for just this enormous thing he was gonna make.
Right, whether it was the Starship Enterprise or the Dark Tower or whatever.
Or, giant cock and ball. But, just kidding. I'm kidding. No, I'm referencing, what's his face? Some game review or whatever. Don't matter. Yeah, they were mainly castles. The thing that I was in, before they added the patch where you could instantly hit the block and it exploded.
Yeah.
That sequence of sounds will be etched into my memory for just years.
Yeah. The creative mode. They didn't come out with creative mode right away.
No, not right away
with the consoles.
So,
okay.
Initially, what you seen was me spending hours
digging.
hand digging.
Yep.
Oh no.
The 250 by 640 block wide foundation to build a 5-story gargantuan castle. 'Cause why not?
Why not?
Because why not?
Exactly.
Excuse me.
You're excused.
Last two really quick. Oh, NASCAR 64. I played a lot of, and then Pilot Wings.
Ooh,
I played a lot of 64 because again, they make games like this.
Right.
What? I played a lot of the open flight in there. NASCAR 64 kind of have I bought NASCAR Heat years later, and this was around the same time Mortal Kombat 9 came out.
Ooh.
So
I remember
Jeff and Jason and all the friends, they're all in on this Mortal Kombat game, and they're just digging it. And what do I get? I get NASCAR.
Yeah.
Hey man, to each their own.
At the time, it wasn't such a. It was less of a to each their own and
Yes.
more of a what the fuck are you thinking,
Basically.
Travis?
We were.
How much was it? $60. You could have bought Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, you paid $60 to turn left, over and over again. But yes, now we've matured and we've learned that there are other styles of games around.
Absolutely.
Still better.
That giant list brings me to my number one.
I'm very excited. I have theories as to what it might be.
You probably know.
Okay.
It's Elite Dangerous.
I was wrong.
What?
I thought
Horizons?
it would have been Star Fox.
Star Fox.
64.
That I completely slept on that. Wow.
I know.
It's a good game.
Yeah.
That's
Love that
another
game.
game.
Yeah.
That was actually my first glimpse of what a N64
Right.
Yeah.
could do.
Yep.
Right.
But yes, Elite Dangerous.
Yeah, Elite Dangerous, right. Anyway, basically it's a universe exploration game. 1-to-1 scale. Everything is where it needs to be. The sun is accurate to where it is in the Milky Way galaxy. Andromeda is accurate. Betelgeuse, all these stars, and you can visit all of them.
Right.
Moreover, you can go into trading, or you can go into like combat, or exploration, or mining, and all those avenues to try and gain revenue, to buy better ships, to buy better modules, to whatever.
That's the feedback loop.
Yep.
Right.
And again, they make games like this. I fell in love. Actually, it was Jason's recommendation that I play it.
Cursed.
What
have you done,
Yeah,
Jason?
you cursed me.
I have no memory of this event.
And as you would.
I must have blocked it out.
It was 4th of July.
Okay.
And I was sitting on the hill in town we have, waiting for the fireworks.
We're a one-hill town.
One hill town. the one hill that I sit on when I'm ready to watch fireworks. Sitting there and get a text from Jason. Yo, they, that's what he says. Yo.
That's it.
Yo, that's it.
Yep.
There's this game for free on PSN right now called Elite Dangerous. Have you heard of it?
Okay.
I'm like, nah, brah. What's that? And it's like, I don't know. Go figure it out. So I get into it and discover this just tome of video game that like the learning curve back when I first started playing it was like a 90-degree angle. It was insane. Like I could barely like lift off the pad and like immediately crash into the side of the station and blow up, or the station will blow me up or whatever.
Right.
So, that's fun. But eventually you get the hang of it and you start figuring out how to land on different planets, because that's like
a thing.
What draws me is its semi-accurate like distancing and maths, in hopes of not to go into Math Town here.
We're getting close.
We're getting close, and I'm steering us away trying to. But
Appreciate that.
like based off of gravity of the planet, you could definitely overshoot it. And then you have to turn around and do the walk of shame back, trying to get back onto it. But no, that shit's fun to me. And I mean, to other people, I guess. I mean, it's just not their thing. And
Right.
I tried it.
Yeah.
And tried is all I did. I didn't really play it very long. It was one of those things where I don't know. I just couldn't.
You
keep
got
going.
the idea of it.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a long time to really like let it sink its hooks into your meaty flesh.
Oh no.
And then pull you in and go and consume you forever.
Like I walked past the lion cage and Travis died in it.
No, I'm still in it. The lion's mouth, like half conscious.
That femur looks familiar. Oh no!
God, Travis. Yeah. So that's it.
Nice.
That's what I
That's
got.
a good list.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Lots of flying. I had to say I had a flying game for regular Nintendo also. I had Top Gun. And
Top Gun.
It's I remember what it's like, but it's basically just a crashing simulator as well. It's like every time I'd play it, I'm like, okay, there it is. It's the battleship, the aircraft carrier.
Aircraft carrier.
And I'm like, I can do this thing. I killed all the enemies, and I just ram into the side of it every time, or ram into the ocean, or just overshoot it. It was I love it.
I had a game similar. It was my first exposure to a game like kind of similar to a lot of the stuff you play, Trav. I really don't even remember the name of it, but it was the first game I got along with my PlayStation 1. And it was just so it looked kind of like graphically, it looked kind of like a slightly better Star Fox 64.
Sure.
And your first mission is to take off from, I think, the ground. And then you're supposed to land, like, you're basically supposed to pull into the back of a ship
Okay.
that is flying.
Oh,
And neither my dad or I could do it.
That sounds impossible.
We tried over and over and over again. And just, I think maybe I did it once. And because it was the only game I had at the time, I kept trying. If I had other games,
you wouldn't play this one.
nope, I would. I would have given up on it. But yeah, so that's the closest I've ever come to owning games of that. Well,
Of
besides No
flying
Man's
games,
Sky,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
and
No
we-
Man's Sky. That's another one.
Yeah.
It's it's like a cartoony version of Elite Dangerous. Almost,
Yeah, very
you know?
much
That's,
so.
yeah, that's kind of the best allegory that I can think of.
And that's another one. Like at least I put in the 20 hours or whatever of
Yeah.
trying that one out.
Yeah, we tried, you know, and that was at a time when, because like No Man's Sky kind of has a notoriously bad launch,
Very bad.
very bad launch, and but you know, like the developers that made it, you know, I give them all the credit in the world for like sticking with it afterwards and fixing it, and I've played it a little bit since then. Since it's, you know, really big overhaul that it got, and it's, you know, it is quite a bit better now.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
I know, like, I own the game as well, obviously. And from what I can tell, like, from the initial playing, it was cool. Name the stuff, name the plants, name the rocks, name the animals, name the planet. And that was about it. And then you
That's
go on
all
to
you could do, really.
Yeah.
And then now you have base building. You have like team building. You have you can build racetracks on your designate. Like you can designate a planet to be your home base.
Yeah.
The story's richer. The a lot of the like flight mechanics are more intuitive.
It's a better game.
Yeah,
and
Straight up.
It-
Perhaps someday we'll go back to it. Maybe.
I may have sold my copy actually. But
I still have
you
mine.
know, yeah.
So we'll
I
see.
don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of Minecrafty now. It's definitely a survival game more than I thought it was when it came out. You know,
That's accurate.
but it's cool. You know, it's got all sorts of neat aspects to it now. And but that being said, I'm curious what you've been playing lately, Jace.
Yes. So, I've recently I played a little game called Deadly Premonition, which is there's a lot to say about Deadly Premonition. So, easiest thing for people who, you know, aren't familiar with it, this game is a very campy cult classic, you know, and it's a detective game meets a survival horror game. You play as this detective from the FBI, Agent Francis York Morgan, but just call him York. Everybody does that. And so you go to this small town in like the northwest area of the United States, and you're there to investigate the murder of a young girl. And because it's kind of, and the FBI is interested in it because of this, what looks to be some similarities to murders that have happened across the country.
Right.
So you go there, and your job is to find out who killed this girl. And throughout the course of this adventure, you know, you meet a town's worth of all very wacky characters.
Sure.
And then you engage in some like really, really wonky battles with supernatural forces. And then you do some detective work.
It's sort of like Twin Peaks, right?
There's a lot of good comparison to make to Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
It's similar in some style and tone.
Mm-hmm.
But it has been, it's it's such a wild game. It's for a fun bit of trivia. Deadly Premonition holds a Guinness World Record for being the most critically polarizing survival horror game.
What?
Yeah.
Because
That's awesome.
people either loved it or hated it.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Exactly. Yeah, like people hated it because at the time of its release, it had bad controls, subpar graphics and whatnot. But the people who loved it for the fact that it's a really unique game.
Sure.
Like
not necessarily a unique story, but a unique way of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like the town that you're in, Greenvale, is kind of meant to be like it's meant to feel like an actual very small town. So
Sure.
it feels like to scale.
Okay.
And all of the characters in the game have like a set schedule. And so the game
That's
has
cool.
the game has a day and night cycle. So like say like
Mr.
say
Johnson gets up at 5 o'clock
Exactly,
in the morning to
yeah.
go get coffee at the local diner.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there is a diner in the game. And so yeah, there's this
Called
lady who she works at the diner with her husband. And so she's there, while the diner is open. When it's not, her and her husband goes home, except when her husband goes off to the bar to talk about art with with the town femme fatale who happens to own an art gallery.
Ooh.
Exactly.
Ah.
Yeah, so there's all this like the town like despite the fact that every character in that town, maybe save for the deputy sheriff, feels like a weird caricature of a human being. Despite that, it all feels like natural in a way. Like for an example of these caricature people, there's a guy, I forget his name, and he is the owner of the convenience store in town.
Yep.
And he has like this black leather jacket and a mohawk, so he kind of looks like the bassist from Green Day.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he
Mike Dirnt.
Thank you. And he loves rock and roll. So like as you're talking to him, he's constantly like snapping his finger and he's like, rock and roll, man.
Like, are you even listening to what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
I said, who murdered this girl?
Yeah. Like
Well, I don't know. Murder's not very cool, dude.
Rock and roll is better.
You're like, without even really knowing this game, you two are so close to the point about what that guy is like. And there's just all of these weird like interactions that you have. And so like for another big example of a very weird thing that happens in the game, there's a guy and he's kind of like, he's this eccentric old guy who owns a good chunk of stuff in town.
Yeah.
His name is Mr. Stewart. And he goes around town wearing a gas mask. And he's in a wheelchair and he's escorted to the diner by his assistant.
I don't know about you, but that's fucking creepy.
It's very creepy, yeah. Well, and it's not a traditional gas mask at all. It just looks.
Cool.
It has like some little embellishments that make it look even weirder.
Does it look like a plague doctor too?
A little bit.
Oh.
It's got some element. And so he goes to the diner every day and he orders lunch. So one day you happen to be there with the deputy sheriff having lunch, and Mr. Stewart orders a special that he only gets, and it's called the Sinner's Sandwich. And so it is made. I've got the ingredients written down here.
You are prepared.
I am very prepared for this. I could probably actually, just from memory, say what it is, but I want to make sure I'm doing it right. Okay, so it's the Sinner's Sandwich. It is a turkey sandwich with strawberry jam and cereal on it.
You ruined it.
Yeah. And so like this, and like you could actually go online and people have reviews of Sinner's sandwiches. Apparently at conventions and whatnot, people have even gave Sinner's sandwiches to the guy who made Deadly Premonition. It's just one of those
And he's
things.
like, why do they keep giving me
Exactly.
this
Like,
food?
I'm not gonna eat this. The
This is
hell?
terrible.
Yeah.
Worst
Yeah.
decision I've made.
Yeah.
So, what were the reviews like? Were they all like, yeah, it's bad? Or what?
So yeah, so the people who didn't like it, heavily criticized the graphics and the gameplay.
I'm talking about the sandwich. The reviews, the sandwich.
Oh, the sandwich.
Getting to the brass tacks
Yeah.
questions here.
Also non-conclusive. Some people really like it, and some people don't. So the sandwich is a very good metaphor
Okay.
for the game.
Important question
Yes.
on my side.
Yeah,
What kind of cereal?
they didn't specify.
What the hell?
I'm assuming probably I would think of maybe a very neutral flavor. So I would imagine cornflakes or generic
Cheerios.
or Cheerios, Rice Chex. You know, I would mainly just for texture and not much else.
My guy.
Exactly. But yeah, and so when you're doing the occult stuff, it's got a combat system that feels very reminiscent to earlier Resident Evil. So it's
Okay.
clunky as hell.
Mm.
But it's still just the game is just so incredibly charming and weird. One of my favorite things about the game is York. He has a person in his head that he talks to,
Of course he does.
which in the context of the game, it's meant to kind of simulate him talking to the player in
Right.
a way, but it's contextualized in the story as it's ambiguous as to what it is for a long part of the game, but it's a person in his head called Zach. And so he talks to Zach about a lot of stuff. And it is very, very common. If you're driving from point A to B, York will frequently talk to Zach about movie trivia.
Oh.
So so there's conversations that'll take he'll be talking about movies and just Zach, do you remember that one movie that we went to? It was a classic in the 1970s and probably one of the breakout most notable films from this director. That's right. I'm talking about Jaws. And so
God.
so he'll just be talking about Jaws to no one. And all the members of the cast, when he is talking about Zach, he'll be and don't ask me about Zach. And so yeah. And so all the people are okay,
This guy's crazy.
I guess we won't, but still weird.
Wow.
So yeah, I definitely, again, so it's people either really like or dislike the game.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely find myself in the category,
Yeah.
just
Okay.
because it is a very unique experience that the game gave me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what counts.
It is, exactly. So I really, really loved the first third of the game.
Sure.
Second, third, I'm all right, this is okay. It falls apart a little bit for me in the final third because it's relying more on the mechanics that are bad.
No,
Mm.
that's-
And what's
in lies the reviews.
exactly. And what's even probably the most wild about this at all, and I'm really glad I remembered it and didn't just continue, but the combat sequences that people do not like, the combat was added last in development on somewhat short notice because the developers thought it needed combat to appeal to Western audiences.
Oh man,
Mm.
I love me some combat.
and I'm just thinking to myself, I wish it wasn't here.
Yeah,
Right.
And
it
I
would
just
probably be in a better game. If
Right.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
and so and I'm thinking about the context of when it's made. So it's
Oh, that's too bad.
mid to late 2000s is when it came out.
Yep.
Okay.
And so when you could think about the games that were really, really big here in the States at the time, this is probably when first person shooters like Call of Duty and Halo were really
Right.
starting to get
Yeah.
big. So people were well, if we want the Americans to play it,
They kind
we-
of painted themselves into a corner.
Exactly. If we want the Americans to play it, we gotta let them shoot something. and I think
America loves me some guns.
they do. And so it's just it's just a shame because that's when the game falls apart.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is a game with combat like that should not have boss fights, but it do. And they're bad. And so it just made the final third of the game a slog.
Slog.
So it was a shame, but everything leading up to that was just a treat for me.
Just a joyful.
Exactly.
Wow. That's. How would you like to be named Zach and play through that game? I think that would just be incredible.
It really would. Yeah.
But yeah, no, all I basically know about that game is, what you just told me, of course, but all this, the trivia, that part seems to come through. Somehow that is the standout feature of Deadly Premonition, where like everybody's talking about. It's so odd that he like just goes off about movies. He's a critic, you know. He
Yeah.
likes movies.
Yeah,
But that's pretty. And they came out with a sequel now.
they did.
right?
Yes.
What?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like it's a sequel and a prequel. It kind of has like two
Oh,
like,
sure.
perspectives of time. So like it's like part of it is where another FBI agent is talking to York when he's a lot older,
Okay.
and then there's an earlier part of the game where you're playing as a very young York. So it's like they're kind of interviewing him
A
about
New
this early
York,
case.
if you will.
A New York, quite right. So yeah, they're interviewing him about like this really important case earlier on in his career.
Sure.
So the game kind of sandwiches sinners sandwiches, if you will.
I will.
I will not.
Deadly Premonition. So yeah, like I eventually I do think I will play this next Deadly Premonition, but I got to give that a little time.
Sure. It had a rocky launch as well. I mean,
Yeah.
apparently it's still got that same quirkiness to it, but it's getting a lot of flack for being really bad in terms of like frame rate drops and stuff like
Right.
that. Like
You're
it's
talking
just-
about the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully that gets fixed and is in a much better playable state. I mean, if it starts to run really well, you know, I'll be down to play it.
And the thing is with games nowadays, like, they have, unless they don't have the support that, you know, big franchises do, they always have the capacity of fixing those bugs, fixing those frame rate
In
drops,
time,
fixing
yeah.
Yeah.
anything to make it so much better. I mean, we'll go back to, why can't I remember the game? My brain just died.
No Man's?
No Man's Sky, yeah.
I got you, boo.
You know? You
Soul
always got
Read.
me, boo.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. Just exactly. But No Man's Sky was a good example of them improving it over time, but not every like it's kind of a crapshoot if you're gonna and it seems to be mostly either the passionately loved indie games or just the enormous AAA games that get fixed, you know.
Right.
Absolutely.
So something like Deadly Premonition, I'm not crossing my heart or holding my breath or
Right.
hoping to die or any of that stuff.
All of the above.
Yeah.
So what are you playing?
Yeah, so for a while there, I was not playing a ton of games. I was going to the cabin a lot. My game of choice became Duolingo, you know, and that, and I had this like month-long deep passion for learning Spanish, and like any good passion, it fizzled out, and there's nothing to show for it now.
Oh,
But during
break
that,
my heart.
I wouldn't say nothing, but
But during that time, I was playing a little bit of Skater XL, which is it's an indie developed game. It just came out of early access a couple months ago. That it was like $40 for the experience of playing this sort of sim-like game wherein it's got the strangest controls of any game, period. It's to turn, you use the triggers, LTRT, and then like your right stick is your right foot and your left stick is your left foot, and then you just have to like make an ollie with your sticks. Yeah, and don't fall over. That's a good point.
Yeah.
it almost sounds easier to do an actual ollie.
Right,
Yeah.
One in the
Just give me a
game.
board. I'll try that.
Yeah. I'll just jump on that thing, you know, whatever. It's I had a friend ask me, is it worth it afterward, because we both happen to really like Skate 3. In fact,
Skate 3 is
Jason,
great.
yeah, I think these guys like Skate 3 too, right?
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
yeah.
And I told him that it's not nearly as good as Skate 3 at the time, and yet I still put a bunch of time into Skater XL. But what Skater XL kind of lacks in like these there's certain areas where like it has really small maps. It doesn't like really let you do lip tricks or whatever. Like
You don't get the full potential of
No.
like normal like skating games.
Right, like-
Skate 3.
yeah.
You can do anything,
And-
anywhere.
So I've been thinking a lot about like these. Like I loved Skate 3, and then Tony Hawk Pro Skater Remastered 1 and 2 comes out, and it's like one of the best remasters I've ever played. I can't think of a better remaster. It's just like a brand new game but it's got
the nostalgia's
everything.
there.
Yeah, it's got everything from the first 2 games, and like even the soundtrack has most of the songs in it, and you just like you love to see it. But what you get. So I was thinking about this episode, and I decided I should write down some things to compare Tony Hawk and Skater XL, and even Skate 3 a little bit.
Yeah.
So like, you got Skater XL, which is definitely more on the sim side of things. That's the first thing. I think it's the first, from what I've seen, it's like the biggest sim skate game ever. I haven't found any other like real obvious sim like skate games, and it's pretty cool like in terms of when you're trying to grind or something, which is the tricks is another part of it, right? You're sort of lining up and just trying to balance the board, shape it in midair to the perfect position, so you can get in a way that it'll get the grind you're looking for, or something like lift your left foot so you do a 5-0 instead of a 50-50 or something like that.
The perfect like position to get the trick that you want.
Yeah, and so it's definitely like, I would almost say that it's just designed for street skating. But when they launched the full game, which again was a couple months ago, they also released their 5th studio map, which was the big ramp, I believe they call it, and it's like this huge vert area. So I tried, you try to play it a little bit. It's missing these things, like, for example, when you're just going off of like a smaller ramp, for some reason, like based on your speed, what I'm trying to get at is, it doesn't seem like they know what they're going for, because like if you fly in the air and you can do like a 1080 flip of your kick flip, shove it or whatever, and it'll just keep going and it'll stay perfectly in line with your feet.
Yeah.
And I've looked into it. I don't know what I've seen in real life. I'm not a skater by any means, but like what if you want to do a flip trick of any kind in real life, you usually catch it with your hand after you do the trick in a vert situation. If you're like flying up the ramp or something. But so it takes the immersion out of it. But then you think, what about like the grab tricks? That you can do 4 things. You can grab the front or the back or the sides, either side. And it's sort of like, compare that to there's 16 grabs or something in Tony Hawk Pro Skater, depending on which direction you point and double tap or not and stuff. So it's so we talked about the areas. We talked like a little more about the areas, I guess, is that there's like, for example, a courthouse in the game that is like the size of this house that we're in right now, you guys, and I'm sure the podcast listeners can imagine it perfectly.
Yep.
But it's just it's not, for a skate park or skate related thing, it's not big enough.
No.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem big enough at all.
And it's just like
I mean, even from wall to wall.
Like just bumping into things,
I don't live in a very big house.
I'm not trying to say that so much as that you're terribly poor, Jason. Please.
I think he's trying to say you're terribly poor, Jason.
I know.
It's, so we talked about the type of game. It's a sim. We talked about the areas and the tricks. I wanted to talk about the soundtrack of the game. It's, compared to the other 2 I'm comparing it with, it has good songs, nothing like stand out. They're all like either indie alt or like some cool instrumental hip hop, But I can't say I remember many of the songs,
So does it also have a licensed soundtrack? Like
yeah, it
Tony?
does.
Okay.
Yeah. And lastly, the customization in that game is you can make your own skater, but it's
good.
Yeah, you don't change their appearance at all other than what they're wearing. And but I have to say, I love the fact that I can make a skater that just has a hat that says skateboarding on the top.
You should have a hat that says that.
That is a good idea, actually. Skateboarding. I love it.
Absolutely.
So, going back so going down the line here, in between the sim and arcade thing is, and I forgot to talk about story, which is / objectives, I guess, but it's in Skater XL. That's probably the biggest place that they're missing something, I would say. All they have is some challenges where it'll show like a ghost player do a kickflip off this ramp, and then you have to do the same kickflip or ramp. But and they have like 30 or so for each map, and then but it's really just like, what if your game only had free skate in it? And that's sort of what that is. But
you know, that reminds me of like, so when Skate 3 was coming out, you know, there was a demo that they had released, and so
didn't you guys play that like
a lot?
Yeah. Played the shit out of that.
Yeah. So I mean, Jeff and Ryan in particular, I think you guys both had copies of the demo, and they give you like it's a 2-minute trial.
Yep.
In just this one level, kind of one of the basic beginning levels of the game. And, you know, you just can skate this 2-minute thing.
Yeah, and it's about,
endlessly.
like, they give you maybe like a sixth of the size of the full map.
Right. And so, like, you can try to explore a little bit, but because you have such a limited amount of time, you know, you're very, very restricted in what you'd be able to do. But because just because the core gameplay loop was so fun and so satisfying, you were able to just, like, we were able to have just so much fun just repeating that demo over and over again. Like, we'd hand the controller off to each other, you know, just
pass it off.
Yeah, like, create our own challenges to each other. And it just, I don't know, in my mind, it would be hard to make a game, like a skating game, you know, where your sense of direction and just your purpose to play the game more forward would be kind of tough. Like, after like, say, there's some of the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games, there was like Tony Hawk Underground.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that had more like
linear levels.
It had a kind of a story mode.
Exactly.
Yeah. And to me, they seemed very similar to like the story modes that you would encounter in wrestling games.
Sure.
Where it's just like, you create a character, befriends like Tony Hawk or Bam Margera.
Yeah.
And they
just so happens.
and they elevate you to like the level of the next Tony Hawk or Bam Margera.
You got moves, kid, but can you actually grind this huge rail?
Yeah.
Coach Frank says.
Yeah. Oh God.
Coach Frank. I've been wanting to say that.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well placed.
So yeah, Skate 3 has that sort of story to it, and we played that demo so much that we saw a video online that showed how to skip past like a wall to get out of the demo area a little bit. So we were like playing.
You broke the game.
Yeah, we broke the demo just to like skate an extra 20 feet or something. Like, oh shit,
We gotta do this.
yeah, there's a ramp here. You know,
That's
like,
awesome.
That's
the way you do it.
That's right, and like it's. So just going down this list I have, so it's definitely like Skate 3 seems to be in the middle of like the arcade versus sim
It's walking
spectrum.
a fine line.
Yeah.
It's got points to it, and it still it has like the one analog stick method instead of two for doing tricks and stuff like that. It had a killer soundtrack, wouldn't you guys agree?
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
it was really good.
Not only did it have some great songs on it, but it also had a mode that only played 3 songs, but they were tailored to the like, it would be slow or not intense until you started doing like combos and stuff, and it would like ramp up, and
That's really cool.
yeah.
That's sick.
Just a reactive soundtrack.
Yeah, that's pretty sick indeed. And you know, speaking of that customization option to like change between the regular soundtrack or this like modular soundtrack, you also had like the option of like, do you want realistic physics or like easy physics or medium? you want the camera to be up by your feet, or do you want it to be back more like Tony Hawk or something like that?
Sure.
And so the game was sort of like, again, you could free skate as much as you wanted, or you could play through a story mode, where you had the most annoying partner in the world.
Coach Frank.
No, yeah, like
Coach Frank was gold.
Yeah,
he
like
was.
if
he
you're
was.
just trying to skate, you
Uh-huh.
know, he calls you up on the phone. And he's like, "Hey, bud, noticing that the board sales are dropping a little bit. So you maybe better get on that.
The story was
Let's sell
all
some more
yeah,
skateboards."
exactly.
I'm trying to skate.
Yeah,
The story was all about selling as many skateboards, being
Mm-hmm.
making your own skate brand, and you had to like do huge tricks to get the attention of the peons or whatever.
yes, exactly.
So, but the customization was cool, and not only could you make like your own guy or girl and go through, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But they would show up in the game. It kind of reminds me now of like the Wii, the Wii
Plaza?
Sports or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
where you're bowling in Wii Sports and you're like, oh hey, there's that me of Travis, like he's in the background cheering for
Yeah.
the
I
gutter
will
balls.
always
Yeah.
cheer for you.
Travis said he was working tonight, but he's fucking bowling.
Got him.
So in Skate 3, you'd be going down the bowl, you'd be shredding some gnar or whatever.
Shredding
And-
some car.
Like
We lost him.
you'd see Jason skate past you, and you can get off your board if you want, and just chase him down and hit him with your
Yeah,
board.
exactly.
That's
Whap me in the back
fantastic.
of the head with a skateboard.
And so that was cool that you could get off the board, and you also had Jedi powers where the board would just return to your hand.
Yeah.
That was pretty sick.
Oh man.
They had only 3 areas, but they were all enormous. Like there was like any of the for example, the university
Yeah.
could have been split into 3 different levels, but they had it turned into one. But lastly, I'll talk a little bit about Tony Hawk Pro Skater Remastered that just came out. And it's.
But here, if I can stop you for just
Sure.
a minute. We're just about, we hit the hour mark, so I'm going to pause the recording, and I'm going to carry us on over so we can split up the episode into another piece, if that's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, this conversation is going to go on a little bit longer, so I want to make sure that we got plenty of coverage for it. We will be back momentarily.